Good morning, Beeville. This is Cindy Clark from PAC-B TV. I have a little cold here, so please bear with me. But anyways, this morning I have Shelley Hoffman, the local Beeville entrepreneur. And we're going to take a journey with Shelley as how she got started. Most people in the community know the name Shelley Hoffman. And now she's, a business owner. She's heavily involved in the community. And interestingly enough, she started out as a stay-at-home mom. So this is inspirational, I hope, to women that say, well, I can't do it because Shelley did it. And here she is now. And I've watched her progress over the years. But Shelley's going to take us on her journey from when she started as a stay-at-home mom to where we are today. Thanks for coming, Shelley.
Thanks.
I appreciate it. So anyways, you did start as a stay-at-home mom many years ago. So you tell us how you got what inspired you to move on from that role?
Well, so I was a stay-at-home mom. I was always busy. I would say the first thing that I did that was business related that I didn't even know was PTA president. I mean, you don't think about it, but anytime you're on a board, you're really running a business. And now that I'm on a couple boards, I recognize that a little bit more. So even as a stay-at-home mom, if you're part of the PTA, it really is a business. And you have to have that mindset because you're doing what's best for the kids and what's best for the school. And I enjoyed it. I loved it. And that was probably the first aspect of a community involvement that I was in, just at a smaller scale in the school. From there, what really prompted me to get into business, unfortunately, was going through a divorce. And there's a lot of people, men and women, who understand that when you go through a divorce, you kind of restart. You may not have to restart your job, but you're restarting your life. And at that moment, I thought, okay, what do I want to do? And we move a lot. I still move a lot. I love moving. And real estate kind of always caught my eye. We had some properties. It was a way that I thought that I could still stay connected to my kids and their activities. So I went and it was 2016, I got my real estate license. And I have a background in teaching. So I remember sitting in that class and I said to Tony Prince, who's a friend of mine to this day, great man, I said, I'm going to teach this class one day. Because I am a teacher by trade. I taught, before I had kids, I was a teacher. When I lived in Pittsburgh and I had my parents to help with kids, I taught IT to a home health company. But when we moved up here to Syracuse, it didn't make sense to pay for daycare. It just really didn't.
It's very expensive.
Yes. Yeah. So from the time Allison was in preschool until Allison, I think she was in 4th grade when I went and got my real estate license. And then that was kind of the kick, that change that you're asking about, like what made me start that new venture was real estate and unfortunately the divorce. So.
Well, I know you see it happen a lot, and some people, they go in the dark hole, yeah. And other people, they come up and they see the light and they move on. So now you're here, you're living in Beeville in this community, and you want to do something different.
I do.
Okay.
Yes, and I had. I love to talk. In case most people that know me know that I love to talk.
I never thought that for a minute. Never.
So when I got my real estate license, I didn't have that. I grew up here and I had a lot of connections. So where do you find your sphere of influence? Where do you find your customers? And I had gone to Canada. There was a video boot camp because video was becoming the trend. And in the video boot camp, they said, become involved in the community. Go into the restaurants, review the restaurants, go into the stores, and make yourself known out in the community. And it seemed really easy at the time, like connecting the community and connecting real estate. And I was a real estate salesperson, which is most people consider an agent at the time. And I came back from that boot camp and I gave it a shot, and it did not feel very authentic, so I kind of put it on the back burner. And then in 2019, started in 2018, but I went and got my broker's license because you have to be a salesperson for 2 years to get your broker's license. I love education, and I think that has a lot to do with where I've gone, is because I love to take classes. So in my broker's course, I came across one of the instructors who was a commercial broker, Fran, and she taught commercial. And that's really where the passion for commercial real estate came into. Not so much to be a commercial broker, but for me to invest in it. Because once again, I was starting over. I didn't have a 401k. I didn't have a retirement plan. So, again, in a divorce, you get half of what was created, but you need to keep moving forward. So where was I going to invest? my money. And that's where the investing in real estate comes in. And this is all part, you had mentioned, Cindy, about building a business and being an entrepreneur. And I grew up and I thought, I'm going to check the boxes. I'm going to graduate high school, check. I'm going to go to college, check. I'm going to get married, check. I'm going to have kids, check. Divorce wasn't a checkbox.
I wouldn't.
Do you know what I mean? Like
what's this?
It wasn't there. So when I had to check that box, I thought everything was wide open. Like no longer was I in this box where I had to do things the way that everybody said this is how you're going to do. And again, that was my mindset. I'm not saying people have that mindset, but it was mine. And that opened up the whole world to me when I suddenly thought I can do what I want, when I want, and how I want, as long as I do it within the rules of the police, the government, licensing law for real estate, and to feel good about being a mom to my kids, right? So anyway, when I became a broker is also when Tracy Klein, who you know is my partner at 315 Realty Partners here in the Village, we were both at the same brokerage, and she was looking to make a change. I was looking to go into education, and we had a conversation one day, and we decided we were going to start a brokerage together. And I thought, what value do I have to be a partner in a brokerage with this amazing agent who has 20 years experience? But what I did from 2017 to 2019 is exactly what you said. I thought I took the video component and I wanted to go out into the community. But what I found, Cindy, was really not a sphere of clients, as they said you would find, but I found a community that just supported each other, that really lifted each other up. When I walked into Shambhala, which is the coffee place, and I was telling Emmett what I wanted to do, Emmett's like, I think that's great. So even though I had doubt in myself, I had Emmett say that was great. And the first video I ever did was with Renee Newton at La Tresse. And I walked in, she didn't know who I was, had no idea what I wanted, but I was on a mission that day. And I said, if I'm going to do video, today's the day I'm going to do it. And I think that's the mindset you have to have when you want to run a business and you're starting off is just do it today. Because if you don't do it today, you're not going to do it tomorrow or the next day. And I walked in and I said, hi, Renee, my name is Shelley Hoffman. I would like to do a video about your business in this community. Would you mind? Cindy, her whole face lit up and she said, absolutely, I would love to. And what I didn't know about Renee that I learned that day is she used to teach classes on a stage to other people. So she was the best person to be my first person because she was already comfortable in front of the camera. So,
They were very receptive to what you were offering there, too.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, and that's where it started. And I hadn't met you just yet. I think I probably met you in the next couple months. But that's all it was. It was walking into businesses and not being afraid. And I don't know if other communities would have been as accepting as Baldwinsville to that concept. I'm lucky to live here in Baldwinsville. But Renee, it's okay to shout out some names, I hope. But Andy from Apparel Brothers was amazing. And the chamber, the Greater Baldwinsville Chamber of Commerce, they would put me in connection with people. So that was kind of how I built myself up in the community, was going in, but I was connecting it originally to real estate. And I was telling people, like, this is Renee's business. And by the way, in Baldwinsville, we have a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath that just entered, on
Right.
Downer Street. And I was doing that connection. And that's what the video boot camp said to do, because that was checking the box. That was going to the boot camp and them telling me, this is how you're going to do it. You're going to introduce a community member and then you're going to talk real estate. You're going to do a community member, you're going to talk about real estate. And I was like, okay. And it never really felt authentic to me. And that's the piece that I want to tell people. Do what's authentic to you. So it went well, but it wasn't great. And then do you remember when A Cause to Celebrate, they had their fundraiser at the Fireside, and it was for the Vera House. And I walked into Mirror, and Stephanie Long and Heather were there, and they, again, were very willing to do the video with me. And they start talking about, I still get chills, they start talking about how they were raising money for the Vera House. And it was a live video, because I do all my videos live. And I just remember thinking, there is nothing as important as what's going on at their fundraiser that's happening on Downer Street or, over in Radisson or in Kimbrook. And I said, you know what? Real estate's not really that important today. You should really reach out and support this cause. We ended the video, and that was the last video that I connected community to real estate to. And that was how Heart Home and Community was created.
And
you
here
know
we
that?
are. I know. I did not know that. I remember seeing Shelley at different functions with her phone and offering to do a little video of whatever somebody was offering, and I thought at that time that she's got a real good idea here. She's got something happening, and I could see it going further. So she and I connected, and we brainstormed on various projects and what we could do for the community, because I'd always known what a good community it was. She's realizing what a great community this is, and it just opened, the way she was approaching it would be opening doors for who knows what she wanted to do. Maybe she wasn't really sure exactly what she
No.
wanted to do at that point, but the people in the community, they gravitate, and then you discuss, you brainstorm, you get ideas, and then she went on to the next step,
Right.
which was what's the Heart Home and Community, which explain that.
So when I was at my first brokerage, they always said you need a tagline. Again, you're checking that box. It's a business. You need a tagline. And I had a business coach who was amazing. She's out in Texas. And the tagline became your Heart Home Community Realtor. Because obviously home was connected to real estate. Heart was my passion. I absolutely loved it. And then the community is the community that I was getting involved in. So my tagline on all my postcards, if you received any of my postcards, would say your Heart Home Community Realtor. Foxfire, I had a little blurb on the scorecards, and it had a heart with homes in it, and it said your Heart Home Community Realtor. And that's how I was presenting myself as a realtor to the community. But like I said, when I started doing the videos in the community, something else took over. Like just the passion to lift up other people, because the community, at least the community we're in, really lifts a lot of people up. And I saw this as a way to make connections, to make friends, but to also showcase what was happening. And it didn't have to be tied to real estate. So at that point, that moment with Mirror Mirror, Heart Home and Community became unconnected to my tagline in real estate, and it became its own entity. Now, the funny thing, you ask how it comes full circle, is Heart Home Community Realtor was with Tracy. That's what Tracy would see when we were working together at the other brokerage. And what she saw in me that I didn't realize was the community connection. And Tracy's an amazing businesswoman. She's an excellent realtor. But what we do is we complement each other very well. So by me putting myself in the community, boutique brokerages were starting to come. You see them everywhere now. We were probably one of the first ones, at least in our area. And so I still got to focus on my community. You don't see 315 Realty Partners when you see my Heart Home and Community stuff.
Right.
It's still separate. And Tracy respects that. She doesn't ever look to say, you need to be pushing the brokerage, because she feels the same way I do. We push the community. But what Heart Home and Community then became was almost like a hub for showcasing, and I could do it my way. I love other organizations, but this was something that I could control. I could promote whatever people wanted me to promote, but also what I wanted to promote as well. So I would go into the businesses and I would say they had an event going on, or I'd stop in at trivia night and I just do a live video at trivia night. And Cindy and I were talking before we went on, the Volunteer Center Christmas Bureau. I never knew about the Christmas Bureau.
Right.
Never knew, because when I was living in Radisson and I was stay-at-home mom, I was really wrapped up into what was happening in the schools, not the entire community. So that's how I met Barb Presley, and we did, right in the coffee shop, Chamberlain, we did our first video. And from there, Cindy and I have just really been connected. You've been really good at pushing me up, and if I've had a bad day or a bad moment, of just saying, Shelley, you got this. Like, tomorrow's another day. But I have a current business coach, and this is what I want to tell people. If they say, he told me when I started with him, if you're not embarrassed by your first attempt, you waited too long to start. And that's a gentleman named Jeff Rogers, but not our angry garlic Jeff Rogers, a different one. And I think about that. Those videos, I still go around with my camera.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I have a much better camera now than I used to. But I look back at some of them and I think, oh my gosh, what was I even doing? But
you were doing it. You were doing what needed to be done to get you where you're at right now. Mm-hmm. And you people got to know you. They got to question, what you're doing here, and then reaching out to you. I thought it was a great idea. I really did.
Well, when I knew people were watching them is Angela, who owns Fashion Rescue. I had done a grand opening video with her.
I remember.
And she said she was in her store behind the window because she has mannequins and things. And she heard two ladies talking outside. And they said, "Oh, what is this?" And she said she heard them say, "You know that girl that goes around Baldwinsville? I watched her video and I guess this is a new boutique that's opening." And Angela texted me and said, I said, "Well, now at least I know people are,
They're
are
watching. They are. They are.
And then I would say the next thing that elevated, so those were great, but then you and I got together and the videos for PAC-B, that was your idea, and I think Marianne from Chamber had talked about Ask the Expert and Did You Know? And this was all unfortunately before the COVID.
COVID, right.
Where you were in a different studio, and you asked me to come in and do interviews, and that was different, and that leveled up my interviewing and my talking in front of people.
She helped us. She helped us out a lot. She volunteered. She goes, because we were discussing we need somebody to interview, and I said, well, you do these things all the time, and you're comfortable with it. So you came in for quite a while, where I'd set the interview up, and then Shelley would come in, and chit chat with the person for a while or persons, and then do these great interviews. And then she got too busy, and we realized, after the COVID, we kind of backed down, and after COVID, she had to. She had to really ramp things up. So then I took over there,
Yes.
but we never lost the connection because we worked together to help everybody. The bottom line is to help the community.
Absolutely.
I mean, obviously you have to make a living, but it's all community based, and I knew that's where you were coming from. And I said, well, this is a great person to work with because she's out there, I'm out there, and what she sees and maybe I miss, vice versa, we can help each other to continue to serve our community as we're serving it.
Right, and if you go back to a period before everybody was on Zoom and live streaming, and there was a lot of unknown questions in the community. So we had Baldwinsville helping Baldwinsville. We had different organizations helping during COVID. And I started, I just talked to Rotary and I talked to the Chamber. And then Cindy had called me and said, maybe you should talk to my brother. Her brother's Dick Clark, the current mayor. And because again, these were things that PAC-B could have done, but at the time, because you couldn't do anything in studio, and I was doing the live streaming, so that's how those community updates got started. Where I talked to Chief Leffenchak and Dick Clark and Bob Wicks, and Brian May did some with me as well, just to kind of learn what was going on through and keep people updated, because we were all stuck at home for a while, and again that was amazing because I got to learn even more about the community because now I heard about it straight from the mayor and the town supervisors, and that was great. And we talked a little bit beforehand about the fact that those videos were live and they had a time and they had a place. And for the most part, every once in a while you might see one of those, but things are kind of back to status quo. And if you have a question, you can go to the meetings now, whereas before you couldn't go to the meetings. So it's kind of nice to be pretty much back in full swing.
It
and
is.
PAC-B's back in studio. And
Yes,
you guys
we are in our brand new studio here that we love. You remember going up the stairs in the other one?
Yes, that was.
But we've definitely we've definitely come a long way, as have you. Like I say, I've watched your progress since that first time I really knew who you were at one of the chamber luncheons, and you caught my eye, and that's how you did it. I mean, if you caught my eye, just a nobody, really.
That's not true.
You must have caught, obviously, other people's eyes, too. And here you are. And your involvement with the community, everybody knows your name because of your community involvement. And that's, to me, that's what it's all about.
Well, I do feel that it's this community. There's so much that Baldwinsville has to offer, and the outskirts of Beeville as well. But when I think back to before I got my real estate license and going through that process, it was my core group of friends that got me through that. And I'm still friends with them for the most part. Sometimes people drift away.
Right.
But it was that core group of friends that really got me to have the confidence to go into the community. And then it was our community that gave me the confidence to keep going through. And it was a journey for a lot of reasons. Obviously, financially, I still do real estate, the community aspect of it, and I do a lot with education. With me, everything always circles back to education. And that's where, you said I got busy. The busy piece was starting to have to be in the Zoom classroom at a certain time at a certain place. So it just, it ties into the schedule just a little bit, ties up my schedule a little bit more. And then obviously the kids as well. But,
Of course. Now, where do you see yourself now? Are we changing direction? Where are you at now?
It's funny. I still talk to my ex-husband. We don't have one of those like horrible relationships. And he always says, I give Shell 5 years before she gets bored and she moves on to something else. And that's not, well, he's probably 100% correct. But it's now more like evolving. And I do love the education part of real estate. But I'm not sure. We have some newer agents at the brokerage. So training them honestly has opened up my eyes to some other different classroom techniques that I can use. I just taught a class yesterday and I thought, I love it. Like the energy that I get from being in front of a classroom, being in front of people, it's amazing. And there was a brief moment, Cindy, people have asked me to go into like local politics. There was a brief moment that I thought, well, maybe. And then I go in front of the camera again for the classroom. And when I can get back to in-person teaching, I love real estate. I love helping the buyers and the sellers, teaching them about the community, telling them what great communities all of Central New York has, and then the education. So I don't know if the next thing is just letting people know that you got to step out of the box. You got to do something different. You got to take the chance that you want to take. And if you love the life the way that it is, that's great. But if you're not happy, and there's so many people in there, I'm getting close to 50, but when I was in my 40s, there were so many people that says, well, I can't change. I'm too old to change. I'm too scared. I could never do what you do. Even the live videos, people say, well, I could never get in front of the camera. Did I ever tell you how I started getting in front of the camera and how I was comfortable with it?
No, I don't think so.
So my first business coach, Deborah from out in Texas, she said, send me a 30-second video every day for 30 days. And it wasn't live, it was just a video. So I took out my camera and I tried and figure out which angle, just like I did with Brian before this, which angle do I look the best at? And I would record it, I didn't like it, I delete it, I do it again. And some days I would start trying to send her a 30-second video at 8 a.m. and it'd be 8 p.m. and I still wouldn't have one that I liked. And I'd just say, the heck with it, and I'd send it. Well, by day 15, I was so tired of trying to look good in front of this camera. I sent her one brushing my teeth. And I was like, I don't have time for a video today, Deborah. This is what you get. And I set it off. And from there, it became a joke. Like, how much more uncomfortable could I make myself in front of the camera? Because she was the only one watching it. But to her credit, she didn't critique me. She didn't say, oh, you should have done this or you should have done that. She just let me be me. And now, whether you guys like it or not, I'm just me in front of the camera. And sometimes I forget that it's on, but I have fun with it. But it was somebody else saying, just be you, just do it, and put it out there.
Well, that's the best way to do it. I know after, when you got too busy and then I had to kind of pitch it and come here and do what you did. And it was a tough act to follow. And I have to say, the very first one I did, I thought I was going to pass out. I was so nervous and probably did everything wrong. Mm-hmm. But like you say, if you feel it in your heart, because I've had other people say, I said, eventually you won't even realize that those cameras are there. And that's what they oh no, I never get to that point, because I've had some people in here that are very, very nervous. But you talk to them before, you make people feel comfortable. And I've had other people say to me, I know they said it to you as well, that you ask questions that people want answers to.
Right.
That, you get doing an interview about something and you go, geez, I wish I knew about this, and all of a sudden the question is asked. Mm-hmm. Because there's questions you say, well, what about this, what about that? And the audience is going, yes, I wanted to know about that. Mm-hmm. So I like that feedback, and I know you did that as well, because you brought it down to a very personal level, and I said, that works very well for her. And so I kind of mimicked it, because you have to make people feel very comfortable and ask the questions that other people want to know about.
Yep.
So here we are, and then you start feeling another level of confidence, because you run into people that now they know you just like they did with you, and then you start doing, you do a lot of networking throughout the community, because there's a lot of things that you did that I understood were successful. So I kind of followed suit. So you were kind of my hero in all of that, because I said, here's this lady, I knew where you came from, we discussed it, and look where she's at. It doesn't matter how old I am. If I'm old enough probably to be your mom, it doesn't matter, because if you have the desire and the enthusiasm for your community, which you did, which I do, it's just a very natural progression. It's not hard at all.
It's not, and it's funny because, you know, and you saying that to me, it's how I see you. Like, well, Cindy's out there. Everybody loves Cindy. She's energetic. I mean, we always say we don't know where you get all your energy from, and people like you. And usually, what you're thinking about somebody else, they're thinking the same thing back about you. You know, we're hardest on ourselves than anybody else. Because I always think, why would anybody want to do a video with me? That's just crazy talk. But I go and I ask, and they're like, absolutely, I will. And I think about it. If Renee came into me and said, would you do a video? I would say, yes. You asked me to do this video, and here I am.
There you are, and here we are. Because I thought what you had to offer, because I've watched you for several years, and I've watched the progression, the changes that you've made in your life, and you're an inspiration. That's what it's all about, is inspiring people to do maybe what they think they couldn't do. And you can. Here's Shelley. She's living proof that it can be done. She started out nowhere near where she is now.
No.
And whoever would have thunk that she'd be here now. And we're so grateful that you're in our community, because she does pump the community. She works with the community. She's out there all the time. And it's so heartfelt and so sincere. And she's always willing to help. Anytime that I had any questions about anything, or, you know, maybe I sought her out for suggestions to try to do something better, because I wasn't as confident as I should be. I didn't have any background in any of this. And I would defer to Shelley and say, Shell, what do you think about this? Because I knew she was successful at what she did. That's who you ask. You ask somebody that's successful. So I asked you, and then I said, well, I think the community needs to know, this person that's out there all the time, know a little bit about where she came from, what she's been doing, and where she plans on going. Because it's talking about moving. She was in Radisson, then she's in up a few blocks from me, and then she was at another place. Now she's my neighbor a few houses up.
I love moving.
She does.
I do.
I think if I ever had to move again, I'd get a tent. I don't like moving. But anyways, I want to thank you for coming here and sharing the success story with all of us, because it can be done.
Oh, yeah.
There's no room in your life for saying, I can't do this.
Well, and like I said, the biggest thing is, I remember a girlfriend of mine saying she was getting married, and I said, why? And she goes, well, it's time I do. And I'm like, oh, okay. And now I go back to that. It's like a visual for me, checking the boxes. Now I don't even know where my boxes are anymore. I just have fun, and I love life, and I love the people that are surrounding me, or I guess I surround myself with. But again, it's life. You get one. Everybody talks about it, right?
That's right.
And you got to enjoy it, and you got to love it. And if you don't love what you do, there's a million other opportunities out there to try something different. And my life might look crazy to you. My kids tell me that all the time. But you don't have to live my life. Just find the one that makes you happy, and go for it and enjoy it.
Well, like I said, thank you. We have a success story here. You can do it. It's very possible. You're living proof. You're here now. And I'm very excited to see where your journey takes you from this point.
Me
Who
too.
knows where she's going to be. But anyways, rest assured, she will always be involved in this community. She loves this community. She contributes. She participates. And boy, do we have fun.
We do.
We really do. But anyways, take it easy. And thank you, everybody, for watching PAC-B. Thanks again, Shelley.
Thank you, Sid. Bye.
Bye-bye.